was working at a gym reception desk, earning minimum wage, answering the same questions day after day. 10 years of rejection. Countless failed auditions. Dreams slowly fading away. Then, on June 2nd, 2024, everything changed. Sydnie Christmas didn't just win Britain's Got Talent. She obliterated the competition, made Simon Cowell give her an 11 out of 10, and left the entire nation in tears. But winning was just the beginning. What happened next? Well, let's just say that within 12 months, this former gym receptionist would perform for a king, record with a legendary producer in Hollywood, tour 2 continents, and play one of Disney's most iconic villains on the West End stage. This is the untold story of Sydnie Christmas. What really happened after the confetti fell and the cameras stopped rolling.
I don't believe it yet. It's bizarre because people promise you the world, but I don't believe them yet.
Yeah.
So I'm very...
The moment that changed everything. Before we talk about where Sydnie is now, we need to go back to where everything shifted. When she stepped onto the BGT stage, Sydnie was 28, an age when most people in musical theater feel like they've either made it or they're running out of time. She'd worked small jobs, done cruise ships, and auditioned for show after show after show. And like she said on the show, she'd had a lot of doors closed in her face. She wasn't the industry's type or the influencer singer with 3 million followers. She wasn't the ingenue the directors were fighting over. She was a working-class girl with a powerful voice and a very real fear that her dream was slipping away. When Sydnie Christmas walked onto the Britain's Got Talent stage, nobody expected a gym receptionist to deliver one of the most explosive auditions in the show's history. So when she sang that Annie song, the one that Simon Cowell rolls his eyes at every time, it wasn't cutesy or gimmicky. It was a woman holding on to her dream with both hands because she didn't know if she'd ever get another chance. Everyone met the powerhouse on stage, but what was going on long before the spotlight finally found her? Before BGT. Sydnie Christmas didn't just pop up on Britain's Got Talent like some overnight sensation. She'd been grinding for this since she was a kid in Gravesend, Kent, long before TikTok voice coaches started dissecting every note she sings. Born July 18, 1995, she went straight into proper training at D&B Academy of Performing Arts and graduated in 2014, ready to take on the theater world, or at least knock on the door until someone answered. Her first real break came in 2016 with Lazarus at King's Cross Theater. After that, she hit the cruise ship circuit as a lead vocalist on Royal Caribbean, starring in shows like Grease and Starlight Express. By 2020, she was in Germany doing Starlight Express for nearly 4 years, working her way up to Carrie. But even with all that work, the career momentum wasn't picking up or paying the bills. She ended up taking a 0-hours receptionist job at One Rebel Gym just to stay afloat. And here's the kicker. Sydnie had auditioned for BGT 4 times before 2024, but pulled out each time because of nerves. She treated that 2024 audition like her last shot before walking away from performing entirely. Wild, considering she actually started out playing rugby before pivoting to the arts. Then came the glitter, the headlines, and the chaos. So how did Sydnie handle her first 24 hours as the nation's new obsession? After the golden buzzer, June 3rd, 2024, the morning after the biggest night of Sydnie's life. She's won £250,000, secured a spot at the Royal Variety performance, and become a national sensation overnight. So what did she do next? She went to work at the gym. You heard that right. Sydnie forgot to quit her day job. Even with the trophy, she was still on a 0-hours contract, hanging on to the rota because she genuinely didn't know where her career was headed yet. Eventually, her boss had to let her go once the music gigs and tour dates piled up. In her own words, she basically forgot to quit. Can you imagine? You've just won Britain's Got Talent. You're about to become a recording artist, and you're still worried about covering your shift at the gym reception desk. This wasn't some calculated PR move to seem humble. This was genuine Sydnie, so caught up in the whirlwind that she literally forgot to quit her day job. And honestly, that's exactly why people fell in love with her. But behind the laughs and the humble beginnings, Sydnie was about to face her first major challenge as a newly crowned champion. Because not everyone was celebrating her victory. The moment Sydnie was announced as the winner, social media erupted. And not all of it was positive. Accusations flew. Conspiracy theories spread. Some viewers claimed the show was rigged, that Sydnie had too much professional experience, that she wasn't a real underdog. The criticism cut deep. In an emotional interview with Metro, Sydnie opened up about how the backlash affected her. She called it soul-destroying, saying, "Everything has been genuine and I've said my truth, so saying it's not is questioning me. There's nothing that breaks my heart more than to see the doubt." Here's the truth. Yes, Sydnie had performed in musical theater. Yes, she'd sung on cruise ships and spent 4 years in Starlight Express in Germany. But here's what the critics conveniently forgot. She was working at a gym because her performing career wasn't paying the bills. She'd auditioned for BGT 4 times before and backed out every single time because of crippling nerves. She'd decided that 2024 would be her final attempt at making it in the industry before giving up for good. This wasn't a star in disguise. This was someone on the verge of quitting who took one last shot at her dream. But could she turn this controversial win into real, lasting success? Or would she become just another forgotten talent show winner? When legends come calling. The answer came faster than anyone expected, and it came from one of the most powerful names in musical theater. But it gets better. He arranged for her to perform and film the music video on the actual set of Starlight Express while the show was running in London's West End. Talk about a full-circle moment, from performing in the show in Germany to being invited by the creator himself to record on the London set. The single dropped on July 19, 2024, and it was just the first domino to fall. 2 months later, on September 20th, Sydnie released her debut album. The title, My Way, after the Frank Sinatra classic she'd performed in the BGT semifinals, the performance that many believe secured her path to victory. But Sydnie didn't want to record this album in some generic London studio. No, she flew to Prague and recorded every track with a live orchestra. Can you imagine the moment? Going from answering phones at a gym to conducting a full orchestra in one of Europe's most beautiful cities, all in the span of a few months. The album featured reimagined versions of her BGT performances, Tomorrow, My Way, and Somewhere Over the Rainbow. But she also tackled modern hits like Imagine Dragons, Believer, and the Script's Hall of Fame, putting her own powerful spin on each one. She even threw in some festive tracks for good measure, Oh Holy Night and Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. When the album dropped, something remarkable happened. It shot to #1 on iTunes, not just in the UK but in the United States too. A double #1 for a debut album from a British talent show winner? That's virtually unheard of. And then came perhaps the most surreal collaboration of all. Remember Loren Allred? The powerhouse voice behind Never Enough from The Greatest Showman and Sydney's Idol? The woman whose version of Over the Rainbow had initially made Sydney nervous about singing it in the final? They recorded it together. Before the BGT final, Loren had sent Sydney a supportive video message telling her, "The song is now our song." And now, months later, that message became literal. The two voices that had defined that song came together for a duet version. Sydney wasn't just meeting her idols anymore. She was collaborating with them as equals. But if you think things couldn't get any bigger, you haven't heard what happened in Hollywood. Hollywood Nights and Royal Performances. In November 2024, in Los Angeles, California, the Hollywood Bowl, one of the most iconic music venues on the planet. David Foster was turning 75. And if you don't know that name, you definitely know his work. He's produced for Whitney Houston, Celine Dion, Michael Bublé, Andrea Bocelli, Barbra Streisand, Aretha Franklin. The list of legends is almost comical. 16 Grammy Awards, more than 500 million albums sold worldwide. This man is music royalty. For his birthday celebration, Foster assembled an all-star lineup: Michael Bublé, Josh Groban, Andrea Bocelli, Jennifer Hudson, the absolute cream of the music industry crop. And then there was Sydnie Christmas, 5 months removed from working at a gym, standing on the Hollywood Bowl stage alongside these titans. But the story doesn't end there, because David Foster was clearly impressed. So impressed, in fact, that 5 months later, he pulled off a surprise that left everyone stunned. In April 2025, Sydney made her U.S. debut with 2 sold-out shows at Sony Hall in New York City. The crowd is electric. She's performing I Have Nothing by Whitney Houston, a song that David Foster co-wrote and produced, one of the most vocally demanding songs in pop music history. And then, mid-performance, David Foster himself walks on stage and sits at the piano. The crowd went absolutely wild. This wasn't planned. This was David Foster, the man who's worked with literally every major artist of the past 40 years, spontaneously deciding to accompany this Britain's Got Talent winner on his own legendary composition. That's not just respect. That's recognition of genuine, world-class talent. But before Hollywood, Sydney had another very important performance to deliver, one that came with a crown, literally. On November 22, 2024, as part of her BGT prize, Sydney performed for King Charles III himself. She chose Believer from her album and delivered it with the same power and precision that had won her the competition. Think about that journey for a second. From being rejected at countless West End auditions to performing for the King of England at one of Britain's most prestigious entertainment events. A tradition dating back over a century, and there was Sydnie Christmas, representing everything a Britain's Got Talent winner could be. The gym reception desk must have felt like a lifetime ago. But here's the question: could Sydney connect with regular fans the same way she was impressing legends and royalty? The tour phenomenon. In February 2025, Sydney announced her first-ever headline tour, the My Way Tour. 10 venues across the UK. Some performers might start small, test the waters and see if fans would actually show up. Every single show sold out. The Glass House in Gateshead, the Aldwych Theatre in London's West End. From the north of England to the heart of the capital, fans packed venues to see this rising star in person. And the reviews were absolutely glowing. But it wasn't just the voice people were praising. Again and again, fans mentioned Sydnie's warmth, her humor, her ability to make a theater full of strangers feel like friends. She didn't just perform, she connected, and that connection was about to go international. In April 2025, Sydnie's American debut at Sony Hall in New York City. 2 nights. Both sold out. Now here's the thing. British acts don't always translate to American audiences. The humor is a bit different, and the cultural references shift. It's a genuine test of whether someone has universal appeal or is just a local phenomenon. Sydnie received 5 standing ovations. 5 in 2 nights. From New York audiences who had no context for her journey, who were simply reacting to the raw power and emotion of her performances. That's when David Foster surprised her, as we mentioned. But it was the American fans, tough, discerning New York crowds, who proved that Sydnie wasn't just a British success story. She was becoming something bigger. By the time she left New York, Sydnie had conquered 2 continents. She'd announced a September 9th concert at His Majesty's Theatre in London, which would feature special guests and be filmed for broadcast in the United States. Plans for a second tour, potentially hitting both UK and US venues, were already in the works. From 0 tours to international sensation in less than a year. Not bad for a gym receptionist. But Sydnie hadn't forgotten her first love, the theater. And she was about to return to the West End in the most unexpected role imaginable. Becoming the villain. In July 2025 at the Eventim Apollo in London. The same venue where Sydnie had won Britain's Got Talent just over a year earlier. Sydnie was making a comeback, but this time, she wasn't the hero. She was the villain, Cruella de Vil, the fashion-obsessed, puppy-napping antagonist from 101 Dalmatians, one of Disney's most iconic villains. And Sydnie was about to make her West End debut, playing her. 101 Dalmatians, the musical, ran for 6 weeks, from July 18th to August 30th, and it gave Sydnie the chance to showcase a completely different side of her talent. This wasn't about hitting the big notes and making people cry. This was about embodying a character, a deliciously evil, over-the-top, scenery-chewing villain. When the casting was announced, Sydnie said something revealing. "I can't wait to sink my teeth into this iconic character. There's a bit of me that I see in Cruella, so I'm excited to see her evolve." A bit of her in Cruella? What did she mean by that? Maybe it was the determination. Cruella knows what she wants and goes after it relentlessly. Not unlike someone who auditioned for BGT 4 times despite crippling nerves. Maybe it was the theatricality, the love of performance for performance's sake. Or maybe, after a year of being the wholesome BGT winner, Sydnie just wanted to let loose and play someone delightfully wicked. The production featured incredible puppetry, catchy original songs by Douglas Hodge, and a cast that included TV presenter Jeff Brazier making his stage debut and Aston Marigold from JLS. But it was Sydnie's voice and theatrical presence that anchored the show. When the production released a recording of Sydnie singing Animal Lover from the show on Spotify, fans got to hear yet another color in her vocal palette. This wasn't the soaring ballads of her BGT performances. This was character work, funny, sharp, theatrical, in the best possible way. Reviews praised not just her vocals, but her commitment to the role. Sydnie wasn't coasting on her BGT fame. She was working, honing her craft, proving she belonged in the West End on merit. And before Cruella, there was even a Christmas panto. In December 2024, at the height of her post-BGT fame, Sydnie played Fairy Christmas in Sleeping Beauty at the Orchard Theatre in Dartford, her hometown area. She could have demanded bigger venues, bigger paychecks. Instead, she chose to perform for her community, for the kids who would remember seeing a real Britain's Got Talent winner in their local panto. That's who Sydnie Christmas is. Someone who never forgot where she came from, even as she reached heights she'd only dreamed of. So after this incredible whirlwind year, what's next for Britain's newest star? The future is bright. The momentum hasn't stopped. After wrapping her run as Cruella de Vil in August 2025, Sydnie performed a special one-night concert, Live in London, at the Adelphi Theatre on September 9th, filmed for broadcast in the United States. There's talk of more tours, possibly expanding to Australia, where she's building a passionate fan base. More albums? Almost certainly. More collaborations with music legends? At this point, would anyone be surprised? A return to the West End in an even bigger role also feels inevitable. But here's what makes Sydnie's story truly special. This isn't about overnight success, though from the outside it certainly looks that way. This is about 10 years of rejection. 10 years of hearing no. 10 years of watching other people get the opportunities she desperately wanted. This is about someone who was literally working at a gym reception desk, watching the clock tick down on her dreams, wondering if she should just accept that it wasn't meant to be. This is about 4 failed attempts to audition for Britain's Got Talent, each time backing out because the fear was too overwhelming, and finally saying enough, taking that one last shot, walking onto that stage in January 2024 and deciding that regardless of the outcome, at least she'd know she gave it everything. What happened next wasn't luck. It was talent meeting opportunity meeting years of preparation. It was resilience, refusing to give up even when every rational part of your brain says you should. In December 2024, Sydnie posted a reflection on social media. She wrote, "I am so grateful for everything that has happened this year, and don't take any of it for granted. I really couldn't have done it without all the amazing people that has had a hand in making my dreams come true, especially my fans, who have rallied behind me since Britain's Got Talent, and have continued to show up and support me with everything I have done since winning the show. No ego, no arrogance, just genuine gratitude and humility. That's the difference between someone who burns bright and fades fast, and someone who's building a real, sustainable career." Sydnie isn't just riding the BGT wave, she's putting in the work, making smart choices, staying connected to her fans, and most importantly, staying true to herself. So what is Sydnie Christmas doing now? She's proving that it's never too late. That rejection isn't the end of the story. It's just a chapter. That when you finally get your shot, you should take it with both hands and hold on for dear life. She's living proof that talent, persistence, and heart can overcome years of disappointment. That the gym receptionist can become the star. The underdog can win. From a reception desk to the Royal Variety performance. From nearly giving up to performing with David Foster at the Hollywood Bowl. From countless West End rejections to playing Cruella de Vil at the very theater where she won Britain's Got Talent. Sydnie Christmas didn't just win a talent show. She changed her entire life. And she's only just getting started. This is her story. And something tells me we're still in the early chapters. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do well to like, comment, and subscribe for more content. To enjoy more thrilling stories, click now on the following video that pops up on your screen.